Hello, everyone. Welcome back to TSI. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. So today we are doing a Karate Kid entire franchise tier list. So basically, I'm just going to be doing the live action projects. The reason I'm saying that is because I recently found out there was actually a Karate Kid animated TV show back in the 80s or something like that. So yeah, we're just doing the live action movies and obviously the Cobra Kai seasons, of course. So the tiers we have here are best of the top, very good, it's enjoyable, small yikes, and big yikes. So here we have all the movies, kind of in order by release date, and then all the Cobra Kai seasons, and then of course Karate Kid Legends, which is the new one. So yeah, let's just get right into this, and thank you guys for joining. All right, guys. First up is going to be the original Karate Kid, and I think this is a pretty easy one for me. I'm going best of the best, very top. The original Karate Kid film is just one of my favorite movies, honestly, of all time. On Letterboxd right now, I have it as like one of my top four, and I don't really know exactly if it is in my top four, but it is definitely just one of my absolute favorite movies. I think the acting in this is amazing. Obviously, the connection between Daniel and Mr. Miyagi is probably at its best in this movie, and I feel like just all the messages in this movie are really amazing too. I feel like there's also just a lot of like emotional depth, and you learn a lot through not only Mr. Miyagi but also Daniel and just a lot of the characters in this movie, of course. And yeah, I mean, this is the original one that basically created this entire franchise and so much for the Karate Kid franchise in general, which is amazing. Let me think what else. The final fight between Daniel and Johnny is great too. That crane kick still gives me like goosebumps every time I watch it. It's a great scene for sure. I think Johnny as a villain is also really good too. Obviously, Cobra Kai definitely amplifies him like a lot, but he's still really good in this film if you rewatch it just based on no context from Cobra Kai or anything like that. But yeah, I love this movie so much. I think it's taught me a lot for sure. And yeah, that's what's really gotten me into this franchise so much. And that's what got me into wanting to watch Cobra Kai. It's just because of my love for this original movie. So yeah, moving on, we're going to the Karate Kid Part 2. Now, from here, I think the original trilogy definitely takes a step down from the original Karate Kid. But I actually do like the second one a decent bit. I'm actually going to put this in very good because I still think, it definitely has some problems. It's not as good as the original, but there's a lot of really good things about it. I think it still has the emotional depth that the original one had for sure. I think Chosen as a villain is awesome. I really like Sato as well. And I like how this one really went into more of the Miyagi, I guess, lore kind of. We went to Okinawa. And the first one was definitely a lot more about Daniel and kind of his journey. Now, this second one, Daniel's kind of already learned a lot of the karate. He's kind of learned how to defend himself. Now it's a lot more about Mr. Miyagi and how he kind of reconnects with Sato, how he's able to go back to Okinawa, really reconnect with a lot of people. And I guess I really just like that aspect of this movie. I think they did a really good job with that as well. I think Daniel is also really good in this movie too. He doesn't go through as much of a character arc per se, and he goes through some similar things because Chosen's bullying him too, just like Johnny was. But he does do some cool stuff. I think when he does like the ice chopping or whatever, that part was really cool, of course. And yeah, I think this is awesome. Also, Kumiko was introduced in this one, and I think she's awesome too. In general, I feel like the Karate Kid love interests are actually done really well. I feel like in these movies, they feel a lot more like major characters too, rather than just being the love interest that's just there for the main character. And that's what I really like about the Karate Kid franchise in general. But yeah, Kumiko is awesome. Really cool to see her come back in Cobra Kai as well. So yeah, next up is going to be the Karate Kid Part 3. Now, this one is honestly, I mean, it's easily the worst of the original trilogy. I'm probably going to put this in small yikes. And it's close to being part of it's enjoyable, but I just feel like it's tough to put it there, honestly. There's a lot of issues with this movie. I think the biggest one that stands out to me is that both Mr. Miyagi and Daniel feel just completely out of character in this one. And I don't know, they were trying to do something where their relationship was like, I guess, torn in this movie, which I liked, I guess, the concept, but I don't think it was executed very well. The biggest highlights of this movie, though, Terry Silver and Mike Barnes, of course. I think they are great villains. They can be really crazy in this movie, and I think Cobra Kai definitely amplifies them quite a bit. specifically Terry for sure. But I really do like them in this movie. I think that's what brings this movie up a lot for sure. And I'm trying to think what else. When I first watched this movie, I just feel like it was a lot more boring compared to the first two. I don't know if that was like because there was less action or just like a slow pace, something like that. But for whatever reason, I just don't enjoy this one as much in terms of its pacing or just, get as much entertainment from this. And I think I'd much rather just watch the first two over this one. But I have gone back to this one. I feel like part of it for me is like a guilty pleasure of sorts. And that's why it's close for me to it's enjoyable, to where like I do still enjoy it, but I'm gonna put it in small yucks just because there are a lot of issues here, and it doesn't really like cap off like the original trilogy very well, which is why I'm very glad Cobra Kai is a thing, because I think they do a lot better at, like, I guess, capping off the franchise, if that's gonna be it after Karate Kid Legends. So next up is gonna be the next Karate Kid, which I would say is kind of the one that people hate the most in the Karate Kid franchise, and I am going to have to agree with that one. I will probably put this in big yikes, unfortunately. I think the biggest issue with the next Karate Kid is that they had this really good concept. I think I really like the idea of changing the lead from being a male lead with Daniel to this female lead, and I think that was a really good idea for sure. I just don't think it was executed very well. They had a lot of like really weird plot lines going on. There were some good stuff. I think Miyagi's connection with her was really done well in this one. I feel like in general they do a really good job with Mr. Miyagi, his character, and his connections with his students, of course. And I think in general they had a really good, like, solid, I guess, foundation for the story that was very different from Daniel's in a way, but still similar kind of like formula for the Karate Kid formula. At the same time, they had this whole like military squad in the school, which I thought was really weird. Didn't really make much sense at all, because they were trying to find a new like villain they could do without having to do a tournament, I guess. And so I think that just completely like made no sense though. And honestly, I would have rather them just do a tournament, even though they do that a lot in the Karate Kid franchise. And let me think what else. They had a whole like side part with like this hawk or something like that. I didn't really understand that. They went to see some monks, and there was monks dancing in this movie. Lots of like just really, really goofy stuff. I think they amplified it way too much. Like the Karate Kid franchise in general is known for being goofy, very campy, but this one probably amplified that a bit too much. And yeah, I think the reason I put this in big yikes is because yes, there's some things that, do save this movie a little bit, but in general, like, I just don't think I'm ever going to go back to this one, really. At least not for a very long time. Like, and I feel like they've just like completely forgotten about this one. They didn't even put any like mention of this in Cobra Kai or even Karate Kid Legends. None of that at all. And so I feel like this movie has just kind of been forgotten in this franchise. And so I guess we'll see what happens. Maybe if they make another movie, they'll mention it somehow, bring it in. But yeah, I guess we're just going to put it in big yikes for now. Next up is going to be the Karate Kid remake, which is now a part of the franchise that came out in 2010. And this one was actually the very first Karate Kid project I ever watched, way back when I was super young. Because this is just the first one that my dad showed me. And then about a year later is when I watched the original Karate Kid. And then way after that is when I found out that there was actually a second one, a third one, and then I found out about Cobra Kai. And then that's when I really got into the franchise. But yeah, this is the very original one I watched, and I think I will put this in It's Enjoyable. I think this one, I don't really remember too much because I haven't seen in a little while. And I mean, it's following for the most part what the original movie did. They definitely do some new things. Like instead of wax on, wax off, they have like the jacket on, jacket off. I thought that was really interesting. I thought that was pretty cool. Just how they were kind of doing those small changes and stuff like that. But in reality, it is for the most part a remake of the original. But this time it's a lot longer, which I didn't really enjoy. And I feel like I just didn't really connect with the characters as much as I did in that original Karate Kid film. I think Jaden Smith-Stray, he's all right. But yeah, once again, didn't really connect with him as much. Mr. Han, played by Jackie Chan, I think he is awesome in this movie. And I really like the backstory they gave with him for his wife and his kid, I think. How with the whole car crash thing, I think that was actually really well put into this movie. They did a really good job with that part for sure. And I think that's what really amps this movie up a lot for me, because they really did a good job with that emotional depth factor. And I think because maybe it's more modern in a way, they were able to show that a lot more, make it a lot more serious. and that's what I really enjoyed about this one a lot. I guess the villain again didn't really connect with them as much as I did with Johnny. Same thing with I guess their version of Sensei Kreese. They didn't really like delve into those characters as much. But yeah, I think this is still a very enjoyable movie. I definitely want to go rewatch it sometime soon. But yeah, let's move on to Cobra Kai now with season 1. And season 1 of Cobra Kai, I think I easily am going to put in best of the best. I'd say season 1 of Cobra Kai is pretty much like on par with the original one for me. I don't know if I really rank one above the other per se, but yeah, I love season 1 of Cobra Kai. I just remember when I first found out about Cobra Kai, I literally just binged through season 1 and season 2 because those were the 2 seasons that were out at the time. And so yeah, this is just an amazing season. I feel like I could not stop watching. I just kept going episode after episode, and they really just do an excellent job with Johnny Lawrence's character. It's crazy how they took him, like the villain from the original Karate Kid, made him such a likable character in this TV show, and had a great character arc for him. I feel like season 1 was the best way of doing that because it was very basic, but it was just a great season to watch. And I think it really stuck to that Karate Kid formula of, father needing a son and a son needing a father, and they really showed that relationship super well between Miguel and Johnny. Miguel is just another one of my favorite characters. He's probably like my absolute favorite character, or like favorite new character from the Cobra Kai TV show. I just love Miguel. I think he's very relatable. I can connect with him a lot for sure. And season 1 is where it all started. It is my personal favorite season of Cobra Kai for sure. So yeah, I just love this one so much. Now we go to season 2. I'm gonna put this at the top of very good. I think this just barely misses best the best. I still really enjoy this season. I think maybe it's just a little bit slower pace, but in reality, it was the same thing. I just kept wanting to watch episode after episode. I loved how they introduced Kreese in this one. I think he's a great character. He became more of a mainstay in Cobra Kai, which I really liked for sure. And I guess the summer theme of the season. I think that was really good too. Tori was a great character introduced. She became more of a mainstay later on. I think Robbie got a lot better in this season as well. And yes, obviously that last episode of season 2 is probably one of, if not my favorite episode of Cobra Kai, where they have the whole school fight. That was just insane. And keep in mind, season 1 and season 2 were my first 2 seasons of Cobra Kai that I was able to watch just fully, and then I had to wait for season 3. And so ending on season 2 with that, with Miguel falling from the ledge and breaking his back and being in the hospital, that crazy cliffhanger was just insane. And I honestly I binge watched the first 2 seasons within a week or 2, and so it was just crazy to see. I felt really connected with the characters in such a short amount of time. So yeah, I love season 2 as well. I feel like season 1 and season 2 I honestly just put on in the background sometimes when I'm playing video games, or even just doing something like chores or something like that, because I feel like they're just so enjoyable. Or I'll even watch it on an airplane, download these episodes, because I can literally just go back and rewatch these episodes constantly, just because they're so enjoyable and they don't get tiring at all. And I feel like I always find enjoyment in some way with each episode of, especially the first 2 seasons of Cobra Kai. Next up is going to be Cobra Kai Season 3. I'm also going to put this in very good. Still above Karate Kid Part 2, behind Cobra Kai Season 2. Still really enjoy Season 3 for sure. Honestly, I would say it fits what Season 1 and Season 2 had, just enjoyable episodes. They made me want to keep watching for sure. I think the only reason I would put it behind Season 1 and Season 2 is just because I feel like Miguel wasn't as good in this season, which makes sense obviously from his entry from season 2, but obviously we didn't really see him fight that much. What I do really enjoy is that they had a huge focus in that first half of the season of building the relationship between Johnny and Miguel once again, with Johnny teaching Miguel how to walk again. And I think that was amazing. That is easily my favorite part of the entire season for sure. And I think that's why I feel like anything else that they showed, they had Robbie in jail, his whole arc, and then they had some other things with Sam, and there's just a lot of stuff with Miyagi-Do and all that, and I still enjoyed that part, but I feel like I enjoyed the Johnny and Miguel stuff so much that I just kept wanting to go back to that and throughout the season. But yeah, still really good season. Finale is also really good in this one. The fight in Daniel's house was awesome. Seeing Hawk go back to, I guess, the good side was really cool as well. And I'm trying to think what else in the season. Of course, Eagle Fang. I love Eagle Fang, actually. I think that's one of the funniest parts. Johnny introducing it. I actually have like a t-shirt of Eagle Fang that I wore when I made the Karate Kid Legends review short yesterday. So that was awesome. And let me think what else. Kreese became much more of a villain in this one too. He was awesome in the season. I think this is maybe where he was at his best. And then I think, yeah, the finale in general, okay, we had Ali coming back. And then, beyond the finale with like the whole kids part where they were fighting in Daniel's house, we also had Johnny and Daniel versus Kreese. Robbie was there too. That was awesome. And honestly, yeah, this finale was also really good too. Like, we had two back-to-back amazing seasons and finales. So that was awesome. Next up, Cobra Kai season 4. And once again, I think I'm putting this one in very good. And I'd say probably just barely ahead of season 3 and then behind season 2. Yeah, Cobra Kai season 4 I also really enjoy, of course. Let me think. Of course, I think the All Valley tournament was awesome in this one. This is probably like the best done tournament in or All Valley tournament, I would say. Just like they introduced a lot of really cool things, and they made it. I feel like they made the stakes a lot higher, which obviously that was introduced in season 3 with like the whole deal that Kreese made with Daniel and Johnny. But yeah, the stakes were a lot higher just through the tournament in general with the amount of stuff they had. Daniel and Johnny getting to fights all the time, and then breaking up and having Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang separate, plus Cobra Kai. It was cool to have like the 3 dojos. Devin Lee was introduced in the season. I think she's an awesome character. Really cool to see her on Eagle Fang as well. And of course, Terry Silver came back in the season. I remember watching that first episode. I waited until midnight and watched it with a couple of my friends. That was just amazing to see Terry Silver, and that first episode was just like really fun. I did not binge all 10. I think we just watched like the first 3 that night because it became like 1 a.m. before we knew it. But yeah, that was really fun, and I really enjoyed the season overall. I think it's one of the most fun ones. And we also see some connections before Johnny and Daniel like break up the dojos. Johnny kind of connects with Sam. Daniel connects with Miguel. It was really cool to see those type of things and see different mentors can connect with different students for sure. So yeah, overall, really enjoyed this season, and the cliffhanger that ended on here was also really cool too. It really made me excited for season 5, which is why for me, season 5 honestly was a little bit of a letdown. And I'm just wondering where I should put this here, because part of me wants to put it at the top if it's enjoyable, but I think I'll put it in very good. I'm trying to think. It's enjoyable or very good. I'll put it at very good. There's still a lot of really good things about the season. Like, Cobra Kai is so good to where like even probably one of my least favorite seasons is still very good. But I will put it behind Karate Kid Part 2 for now. Maybe they're on par. I don't know why. For whatever reason, I think season 5. I think there was a big gap between season 4. Oh wait, no, there wasn't. I think between season 4 and season 5, it was actually probably the shortest gap. And so after that cliffhanger of season 4, season 5, I was just super excited for. Probably one of my most anticipated Cobra Kai seasons for sure. And for whatever reason, I just didn't get that like same feeling from the show. Every other season before this, once one episode ended, I was just waiting to go watch the next one, and I could honestly binge the whole season within 1 or 2 days. And I just didn't get that same feeling from this one. I think part of it was they didn't release it during like winter break, like they usually do. Instead, for this one, I think they released it like in September, which was like in the school year for me, just kind of out of nowhere. And so I didn't really get that chance to really sit down and really enjoy the episodes. Because usually I watched them with either my friends or family. This time I was kind of just watching them alone because we were all just like watching them randomly. And so I think maybe that was part of it for sure. And also, yeah, I don't know. I just for whatever reason just didn't get that same feeling. But there were a lot of good things in this season for sure. I think Kenny became much better of a character. Chosen started to really become more of like a comedic character in this season too. I think Mike Barnes came back in this season, which was really cool. Terry just like kind of expanded Cobra Kai everywhere, which is really awesome to see because it's crazy. Like, think about where Cobra Kai was in season 1 with Johnny, with that small little dojo, and now like Terry is expanding them all over the valley. He wants them all over the world. And then we also were introduced to the Tekai. I don't know if I'm saying that right or not, but yeah, it was really cool to have that like mini tournament at the end of the season 2 for that. followed by then Terry being exposed and then the students breaking into the dojo. Bunch of really cool stuff. I think in general the finales they do a very good job with, which was awesome. Very good stuff for sure. And another thing I will say is I think Daniel's character progressed a lot throughout this season, and I like how he's like a much bigger part of the finale. Like he fought Terry himself. He did the crane kick once again. So that was really cool because I feel like in general, Daniel in this show, I mean, he's kind of made out to look like not really like the bad guy, but you're not really supposed to like him as much. You're just obviously supposed to like Johnny a lot more. And so I think this season kind of brought Daniel back to being like a much more likable character again. And I thought there was one other thing that I'm forgetting. Let me think here. Oh, and then Kreese breaking out of jail. I think that happened this season. Yeah, that was awesome too. Like him faking his death. Lots of cool stuff. And then the beginning, of course, with I think Johnny and Robbie. They really connected a lot in this season too when they went to go find Miguel. That was really cool to see. Like I think based on where we were at season 1, season 5 really tied up a lot of things really nicely. And I've heard a lot of people say that they kind of wish season 5 was the last season. And in some ways I agree. There's a lot of like ways they tie up a lot of stuff in this season, and it almost seems like the final season in a way. But of course we did get a season 6. This time it was 15 episodes, and I actually split it into the 3 parts here because I think they're all so distinct from each other. I feel like I can rank them differently. But season 6 part 1 is probably my least favorite set of episodes we've gotten from Cobra Kai. I am going to put this in It's Enjoyable, honestly, above or below. I think I'll put it above. Cobra Kai season 6 part 1. You know, in reality, it makes sense why this one isn't as good. It really is just them training for the most part. Of course, there is some really awesome stuff. I think we got a fight between Johnny and Mike Barnes, which is cool, even though it's kind of small. Of course, there was Tori's mom's death, and I think Peyton List had some excellent acting in this first part, just through that whole part, and that was really a big part for the show to take. And then, of course, we had the fight between Miguel and Robbie, and then kind of a fight between Sam and Tori. Not really, obviously, that was kind of cut off in the middle. But yeah, I think those parts were definitely huge standouts. But in reality, especially those first 2 episodes were just really hard to get through. Really not much happening. We had a really kind of weird part with Kreese, and when he was just like doing, I don't know, he was in the cave or whatever. And I just feel like that was kind of weird. Like it just got way too much for me. But yeah, I feel like still being with these characters, like at this point, we love these characters now. We're on season 6. And so even through those first 2 episodes, it's just nice to even just be with these characters, see them training, see them having fun and just doing random stuff. And so that's why I'm not going to put this in small yikes or big yikes. But yeah, this is definitely kind of my least favorite, like not season, obviously, because it's not a full season, but set of episodes, you could say. Next up, Cobra Kai season 6 part 2. This one I'm going to have to go very good. I will put this, let me think here. Maybe I'd say below season 3, above part 2. Yeah, I think that's a good spot for it. Yeah, season 6 part 2 definitely amped it up. Obviously, we finally got to the Sekai Taikai. Lots of really cool stuff here. Tori joining Cobra Kai once again was crazy, honestly. And we also got introduced to, I think Quan was, I guess he was introduced in part 1, but he was a much bigger part in part 2, of course. I really love Quan. He's one of my favorite characters. I just think he's really cool. And then the Iron Dragons too, they were really awesome. Zara and Axel were really cool characters, and they were extremely like strong and insane throughout this part of the season for sure. And yeah, it was just fun. Like a tournament's always fun. The Sekai Taikai, they do a lot of really cool stuff. Miguel finally got back to like his prime in this part, which is really cool to see because we haven't seen that in a long time, I feel like, in terms of seasons. And let me think here. And they had a lot of cool like side things too. Terry came back in this part, which was awesome. And it was really cool to see how he was like, you know, helping the Iron Dragons. And yeah, this obviously the cliffhanger with Quan dying, a little bit insane, but you know what? It was a crazy cliffhanger. It made me super excited for part 3 to see what would happen. And yeah, it's honestly crazy how like karate has, you know, someone's died because of karate here. And we're going to have some more deaths in part 3 here too. So let's get to part 3. And I love part 3 of season 6. I'm going to put this in best of the best, but I will put it behind season 1 and the original Karate Kid. I love part three. I think it ties this like series up so well, especially those last two episodes were just amazing. We of course had Johnny's fight in the last episode versus, I think his name was Sensei Wolf, and that was awesome. And I feel like, in reality, this show began with Johnny and it ended with Johnny too. And it was also really cool to see Johnny, Miguel, and Tori get back in the original Cobra Kai outfits and represent Cobra Kai once again. Because this show is called Cobra Kai. It began with Johnny and Miguel being a part of Cobra Kai, and now they end up back on it, which was amazing. That was easy to be like one of the best parts of the show when they like walked through the tunnel, and they had, I think Thunderstruck was playing, and yeah, just awesome. One of the best scenes for sure. Yeah, Miguel's fight with I think it was Axel who he's fighting. I think so. Yeah, that was amazing as well. And yeah, in general, I feel like this part just gave a lot of satisfying things. And the last episode too, they had like, I think the part where he was trying to catch the fly with the chopsticks, and then Johnny just comes in and just like claps it, and that was really just so funny. Like just lots of really funny stuff from Johnny in general. But I do love this part. It was really awesome to watch. I binged it all in one day. And yeah, I'm definitely gonna go and rewatch this entire series one day because it is one of my favorite TV shows, even though there's a lot of, issues with it for sure. It's definitely can be very cheesy at times, but I love it and I love the characters, and it's a big part why I love this franchise so much. But now finally with our last one, we get to the newly released Karate Kid Legends, which I just watched a couple nights ago. And this one is honestly really difficult for me to rank. It's definitely going to be in the it's enjoyable tier. But I just don't know whether it's above or below the Karate Kid from 2010. That part's tough. For now, I will put it below. And the one big reason I'm doing that is because I feel like the 2010 Karate Kid just has a lot more emotion, and I think a lot more substance, you could say. And that is the one thing from Karate Kid Legends that I feel like is really, really lacking. And I don't know, to me it just kind of feels like it's just going through the motions. Part of me likes how, the base foundation of Karate Kid Legends is the Karate Kid formula with, a student needs a teacher, is going to, compete at a tournament, has a bully, has a love interest, things like that. Right, but I feel like Karate Kid Legends actually introduces a lot of really cool ideas, such as Lee teaching Victor for his boxing tournament, or even like Lee's relationship with his mom. The whole thing with like Lee's brother dying because of karate. They just introduced lots of really interesting concepts, but I feel like they just were not executed very well, and there was a lot more emotion that they could have put into each one of these that could have made it much better for sure. And I'm trying to think here. Yeah, one of my favorite parts, like I said, was the fact that Lee was training Victor for his boxing tournament. I didn't really like the part that was a boxing tournament. It should have just been like a karate tournament or something like that. But I think that was an excellent idea because obviously we're used to seeing the adult teaching the kid, but this time it was the kid teaching the adult, which I think was really cool. And I feel like they could have delved into that a lot more. And another issue here is that Daniel and Mr. Han, they seem like there were going to be main characters in this, like based off the trailer. They're big parts of the poster, as you can see here. In general, they seem like they were going to be part of this movie for a long time. In reality, Daniel especially got like barely any minutes of screen time. Mr. Han, he was there in the beginning and then didn't really come back until the very end. And it was almost like, I don't even know, like, were these characters really necessary if they're only going to be included for that long? Especially Daniel. I feel like Daniel was just kind of thrown in here because he was in Cobra Kai, and that was maybe going to help the movie do better. But yeah, they didn't really seem like they were really necessary. And of course, it was awesome to see Mr. Han and Daniel interact. I think their banter was, one of my favorite parts of the movie too, even though there was little of it. But I feel like if they were both worked into the plot much more, maybe part of the training sequences throughout the entire movie rather than just the end, or even if they were just left out completely and maybe the movie focused on Lee teaching Victor for a karate tournament, something like that, I think the movie could have been a lot better and could have been able to focus on more substance, more emotion, and things like that. And because I feel like there were so many different like plot lines they were going for, and none of them felt truly like satisfied conclusions other than maybe Lee versus Connor. Obviously, that kind of had a more satisfying conclusion. But even just like Lee's connection with his mom, throughout the whole movie, his mom is very against him going back to Kung Fu and doing karate and things like that because of his brother dying. And I think that was an interesting concept to go into. And then throughout the middle and end of the movie, it just kind of feels like they just forgot about it because it just kind of like goes away at the end. The mom's all of a sudden like completely fine with it. And I think that was definitely something they could have just done a better job with. And that really might have actually added a lot more emotion to it. I know they were trying to do that with Lee's brother dying and doing those flashbacks. Maybe instead of flashbacks, they have it happen in the middle of the movie. Have something more dramatic because I feel like that's what this movie was really, truly missing. And another thing, I think Connor, he wasn't one of my favorite villains. Really had not much substance to him. I know I keep using that word, but yeah, he just felt very generic and we didn't really get to learn much about him. And then yeah, things like Mia and Lee, I think they started off great, had a really good relationship. All of a sudden, I feel like we didn't really like see much of them together later on in the movie. So yeah, just I think small things like that. But I will say, I think this movie is very enjoyable. It's a very just fun watch in general. I think families will really enjoy this one. And it doesn't like diminish the franchise in any way. And it's not like a bad movie by any means. I just think it could have been much better, which I do explain more in my short review. But yeah, Johnny's cameo at the very end, easily the best part of the movie. We all love Johnny. I would definitely buy pizza from Miyagi-Do. But yeah, that was awesome. So thank you guys. This is my final tier list here. Let us know in the comments what your guys' ranking of the Karate Kid films and obviously the Cobra Kai series seasons are. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Let us know if you want us to do any other tier lists, things like that. But yeah, we'll hopefully be back soon. We're on summer now, so hopefully we can make some more videos. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one.